Kick us off here.
We have an exciting game tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Bucs, Ravens, and plenty of news coming out of that game, starting with the Bucs that are dealing with all different kinds of injuries. Russell Gage will not play.
This is our Rotoworld headlines, by the way.
Rotoworld headlines.
Yeah. See, when you go to the meeting, they tell you, "Oh, can you mention Rotoworld?"
I'll tell you what. I was at a meeting this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it was, but Matthew Berry was not sitting next to me at the table.
No, I call in.
But you said you're always at the meetings.
Yeah, well,
virtual.
Yeah, virtually. Yeah, that's the kind of world we live in. Yeah, no, I'm always in the meetings, like listening virtually.
I'm a face-to-face kind of guy.
Yeah, not me.
Establish a presence.
Yeah,
Arthur Smith establishes the run. I establish the presence.
This is really nice. Because you know what, you're one of the little people, and like that's nice to be with your people.
We're gonna have a show today, folks.
When you come down and you're like, you have to let them know, like there's a line.
Yeah,
there's a delineation.
You only get about 61 minutes of Matthew Berry.
That's
a day.
Right.
11:59. We get ready to go.
I'm here.
12-1. We do the show. You get us all. 120%. I'll absolutely say that.
Yeah. 12:01. I'm out. Yeah. 1,000%.
Far from 120%.
Yeah, what you do from 12 to 12:01, you let the little people know you care about them. You tell them. You speak to them by their name. You talk
I don't know if I'm feeling the love.
Why?
I mean,
you're not.
I want you in the meeting. In person.
Okay.
The little people comment.
They all know it. Ask B. Rubes. He'll be the first to tell you.
B. Rubes will be running the show tomorrow, so we'll get him fired up on the line. All right, let's get into the Bucs injury report.
You know his name. Right. Can you pick him out of a lineup if I put all three? If I put Pete, Steven, and Brian in front of you, do you think you could pick out which one is which?
Of course.
I'm not convinced you could.
Wow.
All right, there you go. It's true. Brian Rubin is the handsome one, so he tells me.
All right, Russell Gage is out with a hamstring. Cameron Brate with a neck injury. They are both out for Week 8, which is tonight against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Julio Jones, no shock here with the knee, is a game-time decision. This is the world that we live in with Julio Jones.
That's his legal name, by the way. Julio Jones, game-time decision. Yeah, Julio, game-time decision. Jones. He'll later do commercials when he's retired and Deion Sanders is prime time and like he's doing the Aflac commercials like, hey, it's Coach Prime.
It's game time decision.
Hey, it's Coach Game Time Decision. Hey, look there. Hey,
Mr. GTD.
Mr. GTD.
Which looks like Mr. Guaranteed, but it's Mr. Game Time Decision. GTD.
Right. He should re-record the Pitbull song. The Pitbull song, instead of Mr. Worldwide, Mr. GTD.
Yeah, we'll see if Julio. It's a good brand to get behind.
I'm just saying. God bless Pitbull.
So with the Bucs offense here, that's a lot to deal with, but nothing they're not used to at this point.
And truthfully, weirdly, I think that if Julio Jones is active, does he play a ton of snaps? My expectation is that if he were to take some snaps away or targets away, it'd actually be Cade Otton, their tight end here. Since Week 4, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Leonard Fournette have combined for a 56% target share. 60% of the Buccaneers receiving yards have come from those three dudes. And my expectation is against the Ravens tonight, that will be the case as well. Mike Evans has had 80 or more yards in 3 of his last 4 games. Obviously, had the big drop last week, would have gotten there last week as well. 15 targets last week as well. Like his chances at an anytime touchdown tonight. We'll get into that in last call. Plus money. Just after the drop and everything like that, Brady's going to be like, listen,
they got to get it out of the way.
We got to get out of the way.
Yeah.
We got to get you a score. Chris Godwin has at least 6 catches in every game since returning. That's 4 straight now, double-digit targets in 3 of those 4. And so, to me, Otton is the guy in the middle of the field. Julio Jones sort of has been taking the Gronk role in this offense when he's been out there. He hasn't been out there that much. So I think if you were starting Evans or Godwin, I'm not worried about Julio Jones here.
Evans and Godwin, both top 15 wide receivers for you this week, correct?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yep. Look, the Ravens they played better recently. But, the fact of the matter is it's still not a good defense. It is a defense that you can move the ball against. We saw the Browns run all over them last week, and even though they won that game, like you can move the ball. This is not your parents' Ravens defense. Game is in Tampa Bay, so the Ravens traveling on a short week here. I think Brady has a bounce back game here as well. I have him inside my top 10. We talked about him yesterday on the show as well. Godwin and Evans, I think, are both must starts today. Fournette as well. So the guys you would normally start on the Buccaneers, I'm starting. And on the Ravens, I really think it's Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. We can get into Gus Edwards a little bit later, but I think Gus Edwards is a touchdown-dependent RB2. We did see from Carolina last week, you can run on the Buccaneers.
Yeah, you said it could be your not your parents' Ravens defense could not be your Matthew Berry's Ravens defense as well.
Wow.
You get it?
Wow, an old
joke. You like that one?
Joke.
That's a good one.
Yeah, no, I'm aware. I'm aware of my age.
I just
Thanks so much.
I just wanted
Appreciate
to let you know.
that.
All right, so now we're even.
But this is true. This is true. You probably could be my kid, actually. Yeah, actually, you and Field Yates. You guys are, they always put me. It's annoying. Like, NBC keeps putting me with these like young, good-looking guys that don't seem to age. It's whoever I'm working for. ESPN did it, and now NBC's doing it. It's annoying. Give me like I gotta. I'm trying to get me off. I gotta go to AMC or something like that. Where's
the History Channel?
Yeah, the History Channel.
Yeah, you can tell the history of fantasy football.
There you go.
It'd be amazing.
Call my agent. Yeah, B. Rubes, get my agent on the phone.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
All right. Yeah, I need to get to the geriatric network, whatever that is. All right.
More Rotoworld headlines. Looking at the Cowboys here, Ezekiel Elliott diagnosed with a sprained MCL and is expected to miss Week 8 against the Bears. Although Zeke had a lot to say about that. A guy that doesn't like to miss any time.
No, he does not.
Respect.
I believe, my team needs me out there. I think the pain is temporary, and I need to be out there with my guys. So that's the priority. Yeah.
Where does that toughness come from? Because it seems like you don't really miss a lot of games.
I think it's just from heart and just how much I care for this team, how much I care for the organization. I think, it's my job to be out there, be available. And if I can be out there, why not? I'm not going to take a game off because I don't feel 100%. I think that's soft.
This is from Clarence Hill, Jr. of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, sidelined with the torn MCL, thigh bruise. So Zeke dealing with a somewhat significant injury here. Obviously nothing close to season ending, but this is a fantasy football show, Matthew Berry, and you know what that means. We have to talk about Tony Pollard, who Cowboys fans, fantasy football managers have been screaming for more Tony Pollard, and now it seems like they will far and away get their wish.
Yeah, well, I don't know that it's far and away. I will say this. I will say this. The tweet that we saw from Clarence Hill, he's covered the Cowboys for a long time, does an excellent job, would never want to question his reporting. What I would say here, though, about Ezekiel Elliott, right, is that you think about last year, right? Last year, he partially tore his PCL. He still played all 17 games. He did not miss a game last year. You just heard it right there. Like it's a source of pride for him as well. So I think he could miss this game. Again, I'm not questioning Clarence Hill's reporting. He knows that team backwards and forwards, and certainly much better than I do. I just know that, like, we've seen it. Ezekiel Elliott, as far as I can tell, I believe Ezekiel Elliott has missed literally like 2 games in his career. I think he's missed one. I don't think he's ever missed a game due to injury.
Yeah, so it's suspension.
He missed the 6 games due to suspension, and I think there's a couple of years where the Cowboys rested him for a playoff game kind of thing. But I don't believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Blake, Damien, if one of you guys back there, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But I don't believe he has ever missed a game due to injury, and certainly last year he did not. So I think if there's a way for him to get out there. Having said that, regardless of whether he's either out of this game or limited, we certainly expect a lot of Tony Pollard in this game, who should have success against Chicago. Bears have allowed the 6th most rushing yards to opposing running backs. They're giving up the 5th most rushing touchdowns allowed. They're also traveling on a short week. They played the Monday night game, obviously, as well. This game is in Dallas. And so Tony Pollard, in the games in which he gets more work, he's had 10 career games where he's had 14 or more touches. And in those 10 games, he's averaging 17.7 fantasy points per game. He's had over 100 yards from scrimmage in 6 of those 10 games, 60% of the games. I think Tony Pollard is a must-start this week. I'm as a top 20 play right now with the expectation that Zeke is active. And if we find out between now and Sunday morning that Zeke has been ruled out, immediate top 10 play.
Absolutely. His last start without Zeke was Week 15 of 2020. 12 carries, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches for 63 yards. So it could be a big day for Tony Pollard.
Stephen D'Agostino just got in my ear and told me he has missed 1 game due to injury. 1 game. He also would like to say that he feels he's the handsome one, not Brian Roman.
I did hear that part.
So, yeah, just so you know, A lot of.
You're creating some divide here at the Fantasy Football Happy
This is
Hour.
why I stay out of the little people meeting.
Yeah.
This is why let them
Look what you've done.
fight amongst themselves.
You entered and
I
entered the arena.
I throw a grenade and then I leave.
Oh,
That's what I do.
New gladiator enters the arena.
Fantastic.
Over in New England, Mac Jones will start Week 8 against the Jets. Obviously, we have seen the Bailey Zappi show plenty recently. This has been an insane story now for the last week plus. Field Yates, speaking of Field Yates, says
my
Jones,
buddy, my old colleague,
took about 90% of the first-team reps in Wednesday's practice. This is obviously coming off a game where Mac was 3 of 6, 13 yards, and a pick before being benched against the Bears. Mac back in against a huge game on the road against the Jets. Does this do anything for the Patriots offense fantasy-wise?
No, I don't think it does. First off, I think there's a short leash, right? I mean, again, if he struggles again, right, you could see Bailey Zappi. I mean, it's not definite he's going to be the starter, but 90% of the first-team snaps. And I will tell you, Field, my buddy Field, who used to work in the Patriots front office before he came to ESPN, he's obviously plugged into that team, does a really good job reporting on the NFL in general, but specifically the Patriots. And so my expectation is that he's right here and that it's likely Mac Jones under center for the Patriots against the Jets. But I don't know that there's any fantasy takeaway. Like the guys you would start, Ramondre Stevenson, Jacoby Myers, you're starting regardless of who the quarterback is. And I don't think that whether it's Mac or Bailey Zappi that you suddenly – look, I think Tyquan Thornton's interesting. Like I think he's an interesting waiver pickup, but I'm not starting him against the Jets. It's worth noting that the Jets have allowed 1 touchdown pass over the last 4 games. I mean, they're giving up 5.6 yards per attempt. That's the second lowest in the NFL. These Jets – Connor Rogers, I'm not sure you're aware.
I have no idea.
These Jets,
never heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. These Jets are playing pretty good defense so far, and Mac Jones in his 3 full games so far this year, averaging single-digit fantasy points here. I don't know. It's worth noting because he's being used some in deep leagues, superflex leagues, to quarterback leagues, but I think in terms of an action item for any of us, I would not start Mac Jones this week unless he absolutely had to, and I think it doesn't really affect any decision. You're starting Jacoby Myers, you're starting Ramondre Stevenson, and the rest you're sort of like, we'll see. If you're desperate, I could see starting Damian Harris in a flex, who should get more work, a week removed from the injury as well.
Okay, moving over to the Rams, the designated running back Kyron
Just so everyone
Williams.
knows, Connor Rogers hosts the Jets pregame show, just so everyone
and
is
they
aware.
even keep me around for the postgame.
And they keep you around for the postgame as well?
Believe it or not, they do.
Wow, fantastic.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, Sauce Gardner, pretty good player.
There you go. So I've heard. Have you interviewed Sauce?
I have not. That day hopefully will come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think when you interview Sauce, you will refer to him as Sauce? How do you do you call, hey, Sauce, or Mr. Sauce, Mr. Gardner?
Mr. Sauce is good.
Mr. Sauce?
I like Mr. Sauce.
Lord Sauce?
Yeah.
Senor Sauce?
Yeah, Mr. Sauce G is
Mr.
what I
Sauce
would call
G?
him. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'd go with.
Yeah, okay.
So, all right.
The OG Sauce?
It was funny
Tasty Sauce?
he got
There's
there.
There's just a lot that you can do with it.
They said he had to earn that nickname, and it took about 2.5 games before it was like, call him His name's not Ahmad. His name is Sauce.
No.
So
he's absolutely Sauce.
That's what it'll
one
always be.
One of the all-time great nicknames
Incredible.
in the NFL. By the way, we're trying to get some updated jerseys here for the back wall.
Chad Pennington could probably swap out for Sauce.
For Sauce. Yeah, that is one of the. That's exactly.
Just a suggestion.
Some of my old Washington jerseys. I don't know that LeVar Arrington or Skip Hicks are long for this world. So we'll see. We've got more jerseys on the way. And Sauce Gardner, you'll be happy to know, is one of the ones I
love to see
requested.
it.
So we will see.
It was Jay's influence, not mine. He's the Jets fan, the Sauce Gardner fan.
Jay was a Jets fan for like a minute. He was the Jaguars, he was the Falcons, then the Jaguars, then the Jets, and now he's on to I forget who he's on to, like whatever, the Giants. I think he's now on to the Giants. He loves the Giants and the Colts, something like that. Anyway.
Well, I know it's not the Rams who have designated Kyron Williams to return from an ankle injury coming off IR. We talked a little bit about Kyron Williams this summer as somebody that, sure, day 3 pick, but plenty of pass protecting and pass catching potential. Sean McVay has said the team is still discussing a potential trade of Cam Akers. This has not been a fun backfield to deal with in fantasy this year. No. But Kyron Williams,
by the way, they've been discussing it. They're just hoping someone else will discuss it with them.
No one's answering. No one's picking up the phone.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the equivalent of me, exactly. Like,
we're talking about it.
Yeah.
We might even do it.
Yeah, 1,000%. That, it's like the equivalent. Yeah, I've been talking about going out with Anne Hathaway for years.
Yes.
But, yeah, she's not picking up the phone.
But,
you know what I mean?
but you're still.
Right, I'm the only one talking
you're telling
about
people.
it. Yeah, no one
people
else
are listening.
Yeah, 1,000%. No one else is listening. Yeah, exactly. But I'm talking about it. No one else is. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of those things that I've been talking about hosting Saturday Night Live. No one else is talking about it.
Yep.
But sure,
You're willing to discuss it.
Yeah, I'm willing to discuss it.
We'll talk
Yeah,
terms.
exactly.
All right.
Have my own Avengers movie. I've been talking about it. Just no one else will. Yeah, exactly. We've been talking about trading Cam Akers. We're still discussing it. Of course you are. Of course you are. You just need someone else to discuss it
They have
with
no
you.
leverage.
Yeah, exactly.
No leverage.
No leverage at all. They've absolutely, what are we doing, guys? All right, back to Kyren Williams.
Yeah.
So we'll start because the poor video guys, they're like, I'm trying to find a video out of this thing. Can you guys stop talking about, all right,
trade
nonsense?
discussions?
So Kyren Williams. I think Kyren Williams, if he's still available in your league, and we've talked about him for a little while as kind of a sneaky stash, but if he's still out there, especially given the fact that he's been designated to return, which means he has 21 days to get back onto the field, and given the lack of success that this entire run game has had, including Darrell Henderson, including Cam Akers, I think Kyren Williams is kind of interesting here. I can tell you from talking to sources among the Rams, they love him with a capital L. I'm not saying they love him the way that the Seahawks love Kenneth Walker. I tried to give everyone that hint, before Rashad Penny went down. I was just like, guys, they love Kenneth Walker. They're comparing him to LaDainian Tomlinson. That was a thing that I said on this show, or on Fantasy Football Pregame, I should say. And so I'm not saying he's that, but I am telling you they really, really, really like Kyren Williams. And I think he's going to have an immediate opportunity to have an impact in this run game. And he could, wait for it, run away with a job. Chef's kiss. There you go. God bless. From way downtown. There
from
you
the
go.
parking lot.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Take that to your Jets
This
pregame.
is how you become one of the big people.
That's right.
And
that's right.
compared
dad
to
jokes. Nothing but dad
watching
jokes.
the little people. You said a lot of love for Kyren Williams.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.